welcome to the NineSixFourTwo podcast. This is your host, Mr. NumberNine.
And this is the Fool.
This is where me and the Fool give our
Unqualified and unrequested.
ramblings on the various issues in the world of sport.
Or something like that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our second podcast of 2023.
Yeah.
We are back talking about the Premier League.
Yeah.
There's no other sports going on right now, just football. That's all.
That's all. Everything else
There's
is
no
sort of...
big. Yeah, there's no big other football code having an important day anytime soon. That's not happening.
Well, definitely not today or tomorrow or the day after that, so...
Yes. Shush. Anyways, we are going to today review the league position, but more importantly, look at everybody's transfer window. But as a thing, yeah, what do you think about? There's been a lot of talk about people saying about about maybe abolishing the transfer window or how it's creating weird distortions, and I'm still like I don't quite get their argument
No.
for that. I think it's there. If you're gonna say make the transfer window a bit longer, 2 months, okay, maybe. But I still think people are gonna make dumb last day moves. Gave them like an extra month
Yeah, that's not...
in the window.
Yeah, if your complaint is about weird things happening on the last day of the transfer window, then just having a transfer window at all at any time of the year means that that's going to happen, because you're always going to have a deadline day. Otherwise, it's just called transfer anytime. And
Yeah.
And I could sort of see an argument for only having one transfer window between, in the off season, and not having a transfer window during the season, which is pretty much, the off season where you make your squad, you get your squad together, you set a plan for the year, and it's up to you to make that plan work. And you've got the squad. That's it. That's the whole season, and you go through, and whoever made the best choices at the beginning of the year, whoever's got the best squad, that's the people that are going to win the title. That said, I would fall on the other side, which is shit happens, man, and things go haywire, and having a period in the middle of the season where you can reset and rethink just makes the end of the season more exciting, because things change, and you can't be... There was a predictable march of things, and then there's a reset and a change, and maybe that shakes things up, and we get an exciting end.
Yeah. I think there could be an argument to be made that maybe we need to extend the summer window. I know the season's ending later and later every year. But yes, I think taking into account, we make rules saying that, for example, the Champions League final happens to be mid-June, that, June, any transfers that come in the June 1st window can't play in that Champions League.
No, that would
or
be...
FA Cup, because it's usually leagues are done at that point.
Yeah. And really, the Cup finals are end of May, so as long as they keep that hard deadline of 1st June 31st of May is the end of the season, no matter what, then...
Yeah. And 1st June till... Yeah. 1st June till September, fine. I don't... Maybe even all the way to October. Okay, extending that beginning one, okay. I don't mind it. And even if you're going to maybe go, okay, it's a 6-week window instead of a 1 week or even a 2-month window in the middle.
Yeah.
There's just so much disruption. One of the good things about it being like a small window is that there's not enough time for like big clubs to basically get a player unhappy, because the club will still need them, and
Yeah.
all that sort of shenanigans. So it's okay the way it is. I don't see it being an issue, to be fair.
I'm wondering, and this is me talking off the top of my head, like, should the transfer windows be during break time? So you've got your northern summer off season, and that's the break. That's the transfer window, and the transfer window stops at the beginning of the season. And then you have a winter Christmas break, and that's however long that is, that's how long your transfer window is then. So there's no playing at the time that the transfer's happening. Just wonder if that either solves any issues at all, whether it just creates new issues. It just gives a definition between the two states of being during the competition.
I mean, I've been through a few Premier League seasons where you're literally just allowed to have transfers until February, effectively.
Yeah.
I think that's when it closed. Sorry, it closed in April. So basically, the last month of the season, you couldn't bring in new people.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And I'm like, I guess there was issues of big clubs bringing in players, to get players who were from clubs that were about to be relegated and things like that. I get the argument for that. I think January is far enough away from the end of the season that it's still okay.
Mm.
Like anyway, I don't really. It's asking to solve a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, we are finding a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
Like I think clubs are gonna do stupid things regardless.
Yeah.
Players are gonna get annoyed, and it's up to clubs that are on the more middle to lower tier to be able to protect their assets.
Yeah.
Manage them. I mean, we always use Brighton and Brentford as the examples of clubs that do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interestingly, obviously, Brentford was founded by a guy, is currently owned by a guy who used to work for the owner of Brighton. And those two refuse to talk to each other because the issue apparently is because Tony Bloom, the owner of Brighton, actually has this algorithm apparently that he uses to predict matches and things, and he bet against the betting companies and made it big.
All right.
And then use the principle of those algorithms and sold it to other companies, and that's what apparently he uses to run the club, along with obviously real football people.
Yeah.
And the owner of Brentford has done the same thing apparently with the same algorithms. So,
All right. Yeah.
which he got when he worked there.
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess at the very least you could say that algorithm works. So.
If that is really the thing.
If that is
I think
true,
a lot of people think algorithms this magic spell you can
No. Yeah.
And I'm an engineer sitting like, that's not how they work.
No, it's not how they work. But at the same time, you can make an argument that is sort of how they work, in that they are they're the spell. So they're the spell components, or the spell instructions. But you still got to have the spell components. You've still got to have, the required.
Especially the ritual.
Yeah, you got to get the level and all the rest to understand that. But it is the instruction set. If you follow the instruction set, if you can interpret what that instruction set's actually doing, then yeah. But it'd be the interpretation bit that's the interesting bit, really. Because sure, there's an algorithm and you can plug the data in and it will give you some outputs, but those outputs aren't going to be a nice simple tick or cross next to a player or a game or anything. It's going to have a whole lot of data points that you've got to then interpret into the outcome you want, you think is most likely.
And also, this is the thing, I think the most important way to be good at using algorithms is when you ignore the algorithm and go with conventional wisdom or intuition. And this is not me going, human intuition's always better. I'm like, no, there are times when the algorithm specifically gives you what seems like it could be right, but from experience the reason why it's giving it. You can tell why the data is skewed. And it's not you going, I know better. It's you going, okay, collects the data in a particular way. This is skewing the result. I wouldn't expect,
There's a collection.
You need to know that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a data collection bias, right? You've got to understand what data it's collecting and how it's using that data. What analysis is it running? What calculations are running in the background? Because you say that's going to skew results and provide a bias one way or the other. So you've got to be able to identify that and know, this is an outlier, or this is just an artifact of the algorithm, and it's not truth, and I can discount this bit, or I need to apply a different thought process or different analysis
Yes.
process to this bit because this had some weird
Or
things
at
in
least
it.
I need to check some other information before I follow the algorithm, like to see,
Yeah.
check some microdata and go like, is there enough sample set? Do we have large enough
Yeah.
sample size for some of
That's
this?
one of, but I mean that's part of the interpretation, right? The algorithm gives you some data. It's up to you to interpret that correctly. And so that's the experience, that's the knowledge of how it's working, that's the the intelligence to look at what the algorithm's actually providing you and go, is that actually relevant to the thing I actually want to know? Or has it
Yeah.
actually just gone and calculated something different? It just happened to be the data sort of aligned, but it's doing a different thing because it thinks it should.
Yeah. It's not that Tony Boone sits there going, let's enter into ChatGPT. How do I run a football club?
Oh,
And
I
then
wonder what
gets
ChatGPT would say.
It would just say, do what Brighton did. I guess.
Yes.
Because that's the conventional wisdom.
Yeah. Go work
He's
for
like,
Brighton.
no, but we are Brighton. Or
Yes.
you're going into Delhi and asking for running a football club at this price point. How do we do this? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not how it works.
No.
So it's Brighton do things properly, but I think it's also because the people involved know what the tools they're using very well.
Yeah. 100% that will be the case. And same at Brentford.
And yes. Well, yeah. If it's the same tool, then yes, absolutely.
It should be well, but it's different people, right? So
Yeah.
it's important that
Also, potentially not even still the same tool because algorithms constantly get modified.
Oh, exactly.
Or a company that uses an algorithm should always be constantly modifying it.
Yeah. So there may have been the same algorithm at one point, but being at two different clubs and them not collaborating on it will mean it's now different because they would have tweaked it in different ways, or and it's for that same reason of knowing, hey, when I put this data in, it calculates this way and it gives me this output, and I know that output's wrong because it's doing this thing, so I'm going to modify it to account for this problem. And each of them might have run into a different problem and accounted, or just accounted for it in a different way, and so therefore it's different now.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of we have to understand that there's a lot of actual professional smarts at both Brighton and Brentford. The ownership group, the people Brighton and Brentford are one of the few clubs owned by rich people who are directly involved in running the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
They very hands-on, and they are very good at because they're both made by self-made men who've come up, made their money from from more humble backgrounds. They actually know how to deal with people. This is why they're very good at dealing with footballers who go, I want to leave. They're like, leave next season. We'll get you a better deal. Make your agent,
Yeah.
Or Brighton's approach was you want to leave? Okay, go find an offer. Find a club that wants you. This is our valuation for you. Find a club that wants to pay this much for you, and you can go. That's what Manchester City do as well. They're like, okay, we value at this, so find a club, get your agent to find you someone who'll pay this, and you can go.
We're not gonna stop. They're like, no problems. This is how much we value, so they're gonna pay that much. Sure,
both
no problems.
good and bad thing for clubs, but it's generally obviously Brighton and Brentford can't be that callous about it, but they're like, look, we'll figure out a way, and they make it worthwhile for the player. They see that as a business arrangement for the two parties.
Yeah, they're more in collaboration. It's a partnership, almost.
Yeah,
where they're looking after their players, which does well because then you get the players are caring about the club and the success as well. Be like, no, we're gonna try, and clearly, especially this season, both of those teams are benefiting from that sort of player engagement and buy-in.
Yeah. I mean, let's be very clear here. Players are content creators. They're creating content which we consume.
Yes.
Football clubs don't create content without players, and players effectively are independent contractors that these football clubs need to create the content. Like it's the
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
So it's like like we don't watch. We don't like to watch producers do stuff for. We want to watch the actors do stuff. Like
Yeah,
that's what we
exactly.
pay to go to for the movie tickets.
Yeah, you don't sit
Um,
there to listen to directors tell you about their vision. You're
yeah.
there to see the actors bring
I
forth
mean,
that
unless
vision.
you're wanting to be a director, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, directors' commentary on DVDs can be quite fun to listen to, but
It-
it's normally like, for those who really like that particular movie and really into it and watched it like a billion times.
yeah,
Or,
yeah,
it's Fight Club.
yeah. The director's like, yeah, Chuck Palahniuk says he doesn't know, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, we should, before we go down this rabbit hole, because you and I have talked a lot about how people don't treat football like content, and they
Yeah.
should, from
Yeah.
figuring out where it fits in the economy and like the economic ecosystem.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna review the transfer window. So without further ado, we're gonna give everybody a grade. We're gonna go in alphabetical order and say whether we liked it. We're not gonna go through every single one. Of like a bunch of big clubs, we're gonna have like 20 loan transfers. We're not gonna go into all of those and stuff like that.
One in particular has like a billion of them. Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go into the incoming players we think that are gonna immediately make a impact on the season.
Yeah.
And like outgoings that are like big outgoings to big clubs.
Yeah.
Without further ado, we will begin with Arsenal, current league leaders, and your pick to win the league.
Yeah.
They had a few injuries, they needed to get a few recruits, and they have gotten a few recruits. They didn't get a forward with Gabby Jesus, but I think Nketiah's form has been good, so I think they're wanting to give him more opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they bought in and Jakub Kiwior from Spezia. How do you feel about the Jorginho trade?
The Jorginho trade? I sort of feel that it's a sign of Chelsea giving up, almost. Like, well, he's giving up on Champions League football. Because Jorginho only really had till the end of the season on contract. So it sort of feels like it's saying, wow, we're probably not going to make Champions League, so we better get some money for Jorginho before he goes somewhere else where he's going to play Champions League.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sort of
it
feels that way about it.
To be fair, yeah, Chelsea's not making the Champions
Oh
League.
no, we're not making the Champions League.
Like, that's not an unfair assessment of their current position. But that being said, they will get into Chelsea's window. I think it's a very astute buy from Arsenal, right? Like, I think it's a very shrewd business.
Yeah. I mean, it's
because obviously
probably shrewd both sides. We say we'll get into it. We get Chelsea, but seems as you say.
Yeah. I think it's a business deal that is good, beneficial for both clubs, both parties. But also, like Arsenal, they got a player who's got Premier League experience for not much money. Like it's cheaper than Chelsea's loan for Felix. Yeah. So they're doing well, and they got Leandro Trossard as well to cover from Brighton, who was a player who they kind of probably did need. To cover another forward. In there, so they've got two Premier League players. I don't think you can play much. A bunch of loan outgoings. Not too many. Other Marquinhos and Lokonga going out on loan. Marquinhos to Norway, a good move for him, and Lokonga to Crystal Palace. So that's potentially a good move for Crystal Palace, I think.
Yeah, probably a good move for both clubs, really.
Rating. Great. Let a grade for Arsenal.
Let a grade. I mean, it's pretty good. Maybe plus.
B plus.
Right to me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so moving on from Arsenal, we go to the team that's second place. I know I said we were going to do this in alphabetical order, but I skipped AFC Bournemouth, so what are you going to do? Manchester City are currently second place.
Yeah.
Looking at their incomings, they did get a few players in, but they've had some notable players leave. But they've had Maximo Perrone come in from Vélez Sarsfield in Argentina. I assume he's basically a player who will probably start right away. He's gonna probably take a few, maybe go out
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
loan and do all that good stuff that they do. And they a bunch of their players from their youth team have gone out on loan, and they have um, uh, sent out Chao Gonzalo on loan as well.
Yeah.
That is a big loss. Not that he was playing very well, but once again, it's basically, I don't know. Maybe it's a good move because Guardiola just basically tells players, "I don't give a shit what you've done and what you think I may or may not owe you. If you've got the wrong attitude, you can, that's the way to the door. Go,
There's a door up
go."
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like,
that's. I was pretty sure I was remembering right, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, Cancelo, there was a bit of a bust up between him um,
yeah,
and the coaching staff. So yeah, it seems like that was a well. If you're not going to fit in, then yeah, you say, hey, how about over here? How about you go play somewhere else for a while?
yeah, exactly. Uh, so the uh, the team is going to be on notice. He's had some words to say to them as well, like, "Oh, we're not going to win anyway," and I'm unhappy about their attitude, and like a bunch of stuff that I think rightfully, I'm like not personally telling anybody off, but giving them all good blocking. Yeah, I like it, but I can't give much for Manchester City's trade
No.
deadline. D D plus
Yeah.
if they got rid of a player who was being a nuisance.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it, right? Sure, it's poor getting rid of such a good player, but he was being problematic. So yeah, let's go with D plus.
D plus. Move, moving on to the next club, we have Manchester United,
Yeah.
who have gotten a bunch of loan deals in and out. So we know that the club does not have, because they're possibly getting sold, they couldn't splurge out on a big move. Um, but they went and got Wout Weghorst from Burnley on loan.
Yes.
And with Christian Eriksen, they got Marcel Sabitzer from Munich on loan. And they also got Jack Butland from Crystal Palace on loan. So they've also
Oh yeah.
got good backup keeper in
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. So not bad. I think we know their situation. A bunch of players have gone out on loan. I think a lot of these players, you could say maybe their career at United is now sort of like ended. They're gonna move on to move on. Except maybe like Shola Shorter's uh Bolton Wanderers. He's 19. Maybe he'll come back.
Yeah.
Charlie Savage has gone to Forest Green Rovers. Once again, he's 19, but he's gone to like the League Two clubs, so that's
Yeah.
never a good sign. Axel Tuanzebe, he's been in the club for ages. He's basically 25 years old now. He's not a young gun. He's gone out on loan to Stoke, so I think he can probably Stoke are going to look to buy him in the new window.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of Charlie McNeil and Deshaun Bernard going to Portsmouth as well. So a bunch of players who probably, as I said, they're not going to really feature at United. They're just probably been sent out on loan to find their,
Yeah.
footballing pathway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so Manchester United, yeah, they do need more people. It's a shallow squad, but they got enough people, I think, and Ten Hag is still trying to train up the squad he has, so I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
maybe they needed to get a few outgoings because there is a bloated wage pool bill. But yeah, okay, I'll say B minus for
Yeah.
Manchester United.
I'm happy with the B minus. I think their incomings were reasonably good. Say outcomings goings maybe could have been a
Yeah,
few
I
more,
think
but it is a January transfer window as well,
yeah,
so you don't get a. Sometimes you get a lot, and sometimes it's just and it's you say it's setting these ones up. Essentially, at least half of them to be brought by those clubs in the come the summer, so
yeah.
the northern hemisphere summer. So not bad. Happy with a B minus.
The summer when they get when they can when they can actually get more players.
Yeah.
Now, next up we go to the Toon Army, Newcastle United. So the players coming in include Anthony Gordon. Early on in the season, they got Garang Koi, but he's also or immediately been loaned out to Motherwell. So he's not obviously not somebody for the club immediately. They got Harrison Ashby to shore up their defense a little bit because I said their squad is not super deep. They're from West Ham United, so somebody who has some Premier League experience. Anthony Gordon, incredible move, I think. Even though he hadn't been playing too well at Everton, he's a player who could have a renaissance at
Yeah.
under Eddie Howe. Um, Also gotten rid of a few players. John Joe Shelby's gone to Nottingham Forest. Chris Wood's gone to Nottingham Forest, and we
Yeah.
will get to Nottingham Forest. Don't you worry there. And a bunch of other players have gone out on loan. So I think Newcastle have done some tidy bit of business. This is a very, very, I think, competent um, January window, given their
Yeah.
position and their needs. I think A minus, Newcastle United.
Yeah, happy A minus. I was thinking B plus, but minus B plus, not too.
Newcastle aren't trying to win the league. Like Newcastle are trying to finish top four,
Yeah,
so they
exactly.
just
So
screwed up.
fair call. I'll A minus is acceptable then.
Next up, we go to the white part of North London, Tottenham Hotspur. They are still in fifth place.
Mm,
Players they managed to get in are Jude Sunsup Bell from Chelsea. I don't know much about him. Pedro Porro on loan from Sporting, and Arnaut Dejuma from Villarreal also on loan. And that was a scoop because he was supposed to go to Everton, and they kind of snuck him in.
it's just
Um, and I think Sun Tzu Bell is a forward, so I'm not sure why Chelsea think they have so many of those guys that they can just pass on. Oh, actually, no, they have heaps of them. That's right. That's
yeah.
why we sent him
We've
on.
got all the front runners. We just don't have out and
Yeah,
out
and they did
number
some
nines.
crazy things because they were supposed to send Matt Doherty out on loan, and then they realized that they were breaking the loan rules, so he had to go on a free. Like, that's pretty crazy.
That is
That's a bit
crazy.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit it's Spurs doing Spursy things. But yeah, they still got in a bunch of players, so I can't say it's too bad. I think maybe B, just a straight B.
Yeah, I'm happy with a B. There's nothing too horrible in there. You say
Yeah,
Matt Doherty thing, but yeah, don't think it takes away from anything.
yeah. So I've had a lot of moves in this window. Brighton and Hove Albion. So
Yeah.
they got in Ya Yasin Ayari from AIK in Sweden. They got IK Gothenburg. They got Mark Mahoney from Cork and uh, Facundo Bornute from Rosario. I imagine all these players are basically players who are going to get slowly integrated into the squad. They're all quite
Yeah.
young. They're basically people for the future. We're not going to be surprised if we see them here now.
Mm,
They have sold Shane Duffy to Fulham for a
yeah.
tidy bit of business. They've um, loaned out a bunch of other players. James Furlong, who interestingly going also to Motherwell. They sold Leandro Trossard to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And more importantly, they managed to hold on to Casado and a bunch of their other players who everybody was greedily trying to get and
Yeah,
keep them in line. So I think that counts. Managing to basically bat away all this interest. McAllister, a bunch of their players have a very talented squad that they're keeping
yeah, yeah,
together. There might be a bunch of people leaving in the summer, but Brighton, I expect, have already figured out how to sort that out.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
As we mentioned, they're a very well-run club. So Brighton, I got to give them an A just because they managed to keep players in that were, that other clubs had, we thought they'd already been sold.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm happy to give them an A. It's a pretty good, tidy window for them. Say they got good money for the ones that did go. They kept the ones they need to keep. Say maybe over the northern hemisphere summer some more go, but that gives them plenty of time
Yeah,
to plan for that. They know which ones people want. They can sort that out and get the cover in as needed during that time. So yeah, I'm happy with an A.
yeah, yeah. So next up we have Brentford. Interestingly enough, they've got Romeo Beckham, the second son of Bex and Posh
All right, yeah.
Beckham, um, to come in from Inter Miami, and they've got Kevin Schad, midfielder from Germany, just coming in from SC Freiburg, both on loan. Interesting, just a few bodies to bring in there. We don't know if when Ivan Tony will be able to play because the issues with him betting on games.
Oh,
They've had
yeah.
a bunch of players being popped out, but I think nobody that was vital to their squad.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they needed too many incomings. They've kind of done okay. I think it's a bit of a meh transfer window. Nothing wrong, and they didn't have too many people going after a bunch of their players yet. Probably because of Ivan Toney's situation, because I'm pretty sure a bunch of teams would have been willing to spend big on him.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the likes of Arsenal, if he was available and he didn't have issues, there might have been going right in for him.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's hard for me to judge, but I think B minus is fair for Brentford. B
Yeah,
for the bees.
B for the Bs. I mean, B for the Bs sort of works. I was thinking C plus. As you say, it was pretty standard. Nothing to write home about, but nothing wrong.
Yeah,
But they are the
yeah.
Bs, so B minus. Bs for the Bs.
Like Brentford did a bunch of their recruiting in the summer window, so they didn't need
Yeah,
to buy.
exactly.
So
Their squad's going pretty good. So
next up, another club from South London, Southwest London. Now they got in Shane Duffy, like we mentioned. They got Sasa Lukic in from Torino, and Cedric Suarez on loan from Arsenal.
ooh,
Bunch of good reinforcements here. Not too many important people going out, I think.
hmm,
So I think Fulham, they're almost guaranteed to stay up now. I think they've crossed over they're on 32 points, so they should reach that magical 40-point mark
they should do.
where
Yeah,
they're unlikely to get relegated. So I think good business. I think it's the same as the Bees, right? But they got in Shane Duffy, who's a experienced player. So I think give them a bit more, just a standard B for me.
B. Yeah, I'm happy with a B for them. That was a
Yeah,
decent window. So yeah,
yeah.
let's go for B.
Next up, we have Chelsea Football Club. Uh, the
How long do we have for this
uh,
one?
All right, this might be a podcast on its own, but
Yes.
let's get in there. So incomings, we have Enzo Fernandez, Malo Gusto, Noni Mendueke, Mikhailo Mudrik, Chao Felix, Alindre Santos, Benoit Bedashili, and David
Yeah.
Fofana from Molde. So a bunch of players and outgoings. We have Jorginho Sinsupel, as we mentioned before.
Yes.
Cesare Casade is going out to Reading, and Malo Gusto is immediately being sent back to loan to
Yeah. Yeah.
Lyon. So he was loaned in and loaned out right away back.
Yeah.
Bought in and
Brought in and loaned
loaned
out.
back
Yeah.
out right away. So he's
Yeah.
probably not someone for the. He's not here for immediate impact.
No.
Yeah, they've spent a bunch of players. They've done an interesting thing. I've listened to a lot of podcasts about how they're getting super long contracts,
Yeah.
7 or so years, so they can. It's an interesting thing. So while those players might still be getting paid a decent wage, their transfer value can be depreciated slower over time.
Yeah. No, listen to similar
So if
podcasts.
you buy a player for 100 million, you say that you bought in $100 million worth of assets. But if it's a 7-year contract, the depreciation is over 7 years versus like 4 years if it's a 4-year contract
Yeah,
for
exactly.
FFP purposes.
Yeah. That's
So
how they're getting around some of that. Or not getting around, but
yeah, so that's
making it.
exactly what they're doing. It's okay, look, it's crazy, it's nuts. I can't make heads or tails of it, but
I
yeah, A plus for me. I can't go any lower than that. Like they've brought in a bunch of players. I don't think Graham Potter is unaware of the players that have been brought in. Like he has a very good working relationship with your current general man, the
yeah.
current director at the club, director of football,
Yeah.
and they've probably made a plan. And yeah, I think
I,
with Fernandez also coming in, it's like yeah, that's a home run.
that
That's
is a home run. I mean, it's
that's gonna
fairly.
be this season. They're not making the Champions League, but yeah.
Yeah,
Go
we're sorting
what?
ourselves
Sorry.
out. I was just going to say it's. I have read and listened to several different opinions on this Chelsea transfers. Some of them more tangential to the actual transfers themselves, which is more just how the club's been run and how it may be more of an American style um, franchise now, and that
Hmm.
it's feeling a bit like the there's throwing money around, getting nice long contracts to get around rules, but just getting people in to try and find something that works and not being too worried about if it doesn't work out, because it's the American concept is you get people in. If things aren't working, you have the drafts, so you have higher level nets, you more likely get good players. So you rebuild, and you have your good years, and you build your team through that, and you don't worry that you had bad years until you had your good years, and it's the good years. And then it might ebb away for a bit, and then you rebuild it back up. And sort of looking at it through that lens sort of makes a lot more sense as well. You're like, there's a lot of trying to find the right player, but not
Where do you
now.
expect Chelsea to finish?
I think we'll finish in European
Where
spots.
do you expect Chelsea to finish this season? Because they're out of the cups, right?
We're out of the
Like,
cups.
if they win the Champions League, this is a different. If
Yeah.
yeah, if you win the Champions League, this is a different question. But let's,
Yeah.
for argument's sake, say you're not gonna win the Champions League.
Uh, my thought would be
Because that
we'll
extends a lot of.
we'll finish European spot. Hopefully, Europa, not conference.
Okay.
But that's not guaranteed, and they need to get a
Because
few
yeah,
wins in there.
with the League Cup at least, one of both. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Um. Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. I think a European spot is not out of the question. It's just there's a lot of big clubs, and I think Liverpool have a lot to say about what's going to happen
Yeah.
coming in as well.
Yeah. No. There is definitely going to be tight getting into Europe, any European thing, competition.
Yes.
You say with Liverpool's in the mix as well. Aston Villa's not out of those conversations either. So yeah, I
And
mean,
if
I think Tottenham's
Chelsea just finish, Tottenham's still fifth.
still fifth.
If Chelsea
So
were to
yeah,
finish seventh,
yeah,
if Chelsea finish seventh and West Ham win the Conference League, they don't get a Europa spot. Oh no, so they would get a Conference League spot. Never
yeah. The
mind. Yeah,
conference, yeah.
one of the Europe.
I think we can
But if
get
they
this.
finish sixth, for example, and West Ham win the Conference League, then they would miss out on Europa. They'd move into the Conference League.
Even at sixth, because
Yeah, I think. How does that work? So I think the max number of clubs you can have is 8 in Europe
all right, yeah,
altogether.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so if because West Ham are not finishing a European position, right? All the
unknown,
others technically could finish.
yeah,
So West Ham win the Conference League if they were to. Then whoever finishes seventh misses out one way or another, I think.
no, whoever
Oh
finishes
no,
eighth,
if
yeah,
no, if because seventh is the last Euro spot, but they would basically we'd
yeah,
have the England would have two clubs at the Conference League, and that would be okay because that's 8 altogether.
yeah,
You'd just be pushed down into. Sorry, no, there'd be. I guess there would be 4 clubs. There would be 3 clubs in the Europa League instead of 2 from England. Like that would be okay.
yeah. Well, normally there'd be
Yeah,
three. It'll
I don't
just
think
be yeah.
no. Normally there's 2 now because of the Conference League. Because
No, it's
England
still
get
eight.
4 Champions League.
Four champion. I thought it was still 4-3-1. Because eighth gets Conference League.
Europa
You still get
coefficient.
4. Then you get the 2 cup winners plus 1, and then 1 in the conference. And this cup winners normally are already in somewhere useful. So 6th and
Yeah,
7th get
the
it.
cup winners automatically get into the Europa League.
Yeah.
But fifth place is guaranteed a Europa League spot if
Yeah.
they're
No,
there.
yeah, 6, 7,
Uh,
6, 7, 8. If the cup winners are outside, then yeah, then you start
so there's
losing spots.
7. Yeah, England has 7 spots.
Or 7?
So Champions League, because they're at the top of the UEFA coefficient. So
Yeah.
no country has more than 7. You can get 8 if win a the Champions League that
Yeah, yeah,
season.
yeah.
Uh, so and you have a club that finishes outside the what or you win a cup competition and they finish outside the European spot. From the looks of it, it does say TBA, so the numbers are yet to be decided for the 24-25 season, and so I assume that's because they're introducing the Swiss model next season, aren't they?
Yeah, they are next season, I think. So that will
So it's a different argument altogether. So we'll figure out what happens because one way or another, if Chelsea finish seventh, they should qualify for Europe, but that might not be enough. The sixth will probably guarantee it.
yeah. I would have thought yeah,
But
seventh
like
should
Europa, as opposed, I think ideally Chelsea want to be in the Europa League versus the Conference League. It's
yeah, which means 6th at least
yeah,
to get
yeah.
there.
I think fifth will be guaranteed. Are you guys in
Oh,
the FA Cup still?
no, we lost to City. Um,
Right, right.
so yeah, no, we're out of all the cups.
Yep.
I doubt we're
Other
gonna
than Champions League.
chase down 5th, other than Champions League. So Champions League is our ticket for next season. But we'll
If
see
you
how
win the
that goes.
Champions League, then yeah, see you
Yeah,
later. You've got 5 teams. England will have 5 teams because you're not finishing the Champions League spot, and
no,
you're getting
I
into
don't even
the
think we're finishing top 5 at this point. I think top 5
yeah,
battling for
yeah.
Champions League. So yeah,
But
because
even if you did worst case scenario not get into Europe, you're not in danger of getting relegated.
no,
So I think this is a good rebuild side. Like this could bring you guys back
oh yeah,
into fourth place spots. Top 4 spot.
yeah,
The
and I mean,
squad that you've got.
and that goes back to what I was saying. That's what Bowley's doing is he's doing a rebuild, yeah, and not worried about results,
Yes,
and
quote
just
unquote.
quote unquote, and just getting the side ready for next year because that's the American model, right? He's got to the point where well, we're not going to the Super Bowl, so time to just shore up the things, work out what we're missing, and get the people in.
Yep.
So
But yeah, at least Chelsea have bodies. Like I said, I think A+ is what I give Chelsea for the transfer window.
yeah, well, I was thinking A, but they say Fernandez coming in, that is ridiculously good, so we'll go A plus as well.
Right, now moving on, we go to Merseyside, Liverpool. Yeah, so they started with a bang by getting Cody Gakpo, apparently under the nose of Manchester United. A bunch of
Yeah.
people going out on loan and people weren't really gonna make much of a part. But yeah, nothing else. I don't know that they needed a forward right away this window. They badly needed midfield recruitments, and
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't get any.
No.
The team don't look like they're gonna do well without said recruitment. So yeah,
No.
I think
They're
this might
definitely
be
in a hole.
first
So
uh, B minus.
yeah, no, this is. I mean,
Like
Gakpo is a good
they
buy,
spent a
but
lot of money getting a player who they don't need right now,
yeah, exactly. And that's their only
and
only transfer.
yes, and they need the European football. Like Champions League football is maybe out of the question for Liverpool now,
Oh, 100% is, yeah.
especially given the window they've had. But
Yeah.
they they need to have some sort of European football. They can't just rely. They if they're not in Europe next season, that's going to be a huge blow, and incoming owners, that's going to impact that sort of thing as well.
Yeah. No.
So that's why it's a D minus. Like most clubs, sure, if they didn't need to, most clubs in the Premier League are happy to stay in the Premier League. If it was a transfer window that would get a middling club relegated, I would of course give them an F. But if they're like, yeah, they maintain their Premier League status, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's why you don't fail clubs for that for a January transfer window.
No, no.
At least in my
Yeah.
logic.
No, no, it makes sense. They say this is Liverpool as well, so
Yeah.
there is different expectations um, that should be coming along, and the same with Chelsea, and that's the same
Yes.
arguments were being made in some of these podcasts. That the American owners don't understand the expectations that
Yeah.
fans actually have for these clubs.
Exactly. I agree. Um. Now, moving on from the Mighty Reds, we go to the villains, Aston Villa, your
Mm,
favorites.
my favorites, sure.
So they got in John Duran from Chicago Fire, and they got in Alex Moreno from Real Betis, and and a bunch of players going out who I don't think were on loan or not really going to be doing much. But the most important thing, they have Lopetegui managing them. That's who they got
Oh yeah,
in that time. So it's incredible. I mean, I know it's not a player window, but I think they have they had a good squad. I think Villa didn't need that many replacements. Just Steve Gerrard wasn't doing a good job
yeah,
at Villa. And yes, it's a diss on Steven Gerrard, but he probably got the Brighton job, the Aston Villa job a bit too early in his career. He still possibly needed a bit more time at Rangers, or maybe had another club in between.
yeah, yeah,
He wasn't ready yet for doing the job at a club like Villa. So they've moved on, and they've moved on to a really good manager. This is the thing, like the Premier League is already the Super League, right?
yeah,
You and I've talked about it with the managers here. We're talking about a manager who's an absolute like top tier, like somebody who used to manage Real Madrid and managed them reasonably well, and managed Spain, and he's now managing Aston Villa. He's won the Europa League, and
yeah, yeah. No, he's good.
this guy is a
Yeah,
like he would be managing a top club in La Liga, and he's managing a mid-tier club in the Premier League.
yeah, exactly.
And
It's
this is what's happening. He's so Aston Villa. I think overall, I can't. fault it. B minus for me.
B minus, definitely. I'm happy with that.
Moving on. We go to Crystal Palace. And
Yeah.
so their club is gotten in a bunch of last day Nairu Ahmad Mada and Lakonga on loan from Arsenal on the last day. A bunch of their players have gone out on loan.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a window. I think Crystal Palace probably really needed to get someone like Conor Gallagher in
Yeah.
from Chelsea
Yeah,
because
but
he's kind of in no man's land in Chelsea at the moment.
he is.
We don't know how he fits into uh, the system that Graham Potter's going to use, but Crystal Palace are not out of the woods. I don't think they've. I don't think they're going to be relegated as yet, but they can't be. They're only 9 points behind Southampton at the bottom of the table, and I feel like Southampton are going to surge up
It is
because
possible.
they've been getting their manager has been doing interesting thing, and their players have been playing really well. So
Yeah.
Crystal Palace can't be complacent.
No.
So this window, I'll have to give them a C minus.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the best.
No, I agree. It's not the best. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. C minus,
It'll
C.
probably see them survive the league, and
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I feel like they probably have enough of a gap to be safe-ish, them and Nottingham Forest. Like, they,
yeah,
as you're right, it won't take a lot to turn it around, and Crystal Palace has not been in the best of form. So,
yes,
not like Nottingham Forest, who turned things around, but, so, yeah, you're right, this perhaps isn't the best transfer window for them, given that they haven't, nothing in here sort of suggests that they are going to, that it's things that are going to turn things around. As you say, needed a Conor Gallagher type player. Um, Whether they could have convinced Chelsea to give them back on loan, but if the Chelsea were going to loan him back out again, they would have done it at the beginning of the season. So I can sort of see why that
yeah.
didn't happen. Um,
I thought maybe because Thomas Tuchel wanted him, but now that Potter's there,
yeah,
that he might have been more amenable to that because
it
you've got
yeah.
squad harmony and all those things.
Yeah, Gallagher is playing under Potter though, so just yeah, you say it's not really found his rhythm there, but he could have gone back to Palace, and that would have been a big boost for them. But yeah,
Yes.
say I'm happy with a C or a C minus for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we go to Nottingham Forest, the two-time European champions, and
Yeah,
they've had another eventful window.
yeah,
And no, they got Andre Ayew on a free because he was in no team. He got in on February the 2nd.
oh yeah.
Felipe from Atletico Madrid stole him from potentially a move to Real Madrid.
Ooh,
John Joe Shelby from Newcastle.
mm.
Keylor Navas from PSG.
Oh, that's a big one.
Excellent deal.
Yeah,
Chris Wood from Newcastle on
which is also
loan.
good.
Danilo
Oh yeah,
from Palmeiras and Gustavo Scarpa also from Palmeiras on a free.
yeah,
I think incredible window. So
amazing.
many
Yeah,
good players. I think they have shored up a bunch of. Keylor Navas is an incredible player.
it is.
One
Yeah,
of
I
my
know.
favorite players in the world. Um, they're not in the relegation zone at the moment, as I predicted. They have moved up and out
Yes.
of there. They're nine. They are 6 points ahead of Everton, who are on
Yeah,
18 points, but Everton have a game in hand.
yeah.
Sorry, no, Everton are on the same number. Leeds have a game
Have
in
a game
hand,
in
who
hand.
they're also on
Yeah,
18. Yeah,
yeah.
but
No.
either way, I think it's an incredible window for them.
Mm. Well,
They've
nothing
been
in.
playing so well.
Yeah, they're playing well, and every one of those transfers feels like it's going to make a benefit to them and make them stronger. And so, yeah, you can only give them This is one that I definitely feel is an A or an A plus. Like,
A plus,
yeah,
100% out of the way.
100%. Yeah,
This will keep them in the Premier League, or at least they've
yeah.
done the moves to give the manager the best opportunity to play in the Premier League. I've always rated um, Steve Cooper. I think he's
Hmm.
gonna keep them up.
I think they're going to keep up. Yeah, they're playing pretty good right now, and they've made done well to get a bit of daylight between them and relegation.
Yeah,
These are all really good ones. Like, and just looking at the dates, like that final day of theirs, Never Shelby, Felipe, yeah,
yeah,
Ayu a couple of days later. Like, it's all good stuff.
I agree. Um, Very good window.
Hmm.
Moving on from them, we go to the Foxes, Leicester City. Another club you and I predicted to move out of the relegation scrap because they
Yeah.
were well in it when we last spoke.
Yes.
Um, they have got in a bunch of players. Nathan Apoku from Fieldmaster Sporting Club. Apologies, I don't know where that is. Harry Suter from Stoke. Mateus Tete from Shakhtar Donetsk on loan, and Victor Christiansen from FC Copenhagen. A bunch of players have gone out on loan. I think the Leicester didn't have an issue too much with their squad, and they're a January window. They don't have the sort of money to buy as like Chelsea do,
Yeah.
and apparently Nottingham Forest do. But they've sorted out a bunch of their financial fair play issues. Like their chairman has converted their $194 million of debt into equity, so
All
that's
good.
a good thing for them.
Yeah.
Um, they will probably stay up, I think, and maybe next season they'll be able to back Brendan Rodgers to push up for a European spot, maybe, and
Yeah.
up again. We'll see what happens to Leicester. There's a bunch of clubs going on sale. Don't be surprised. I think if in this window we didn't have both Manchester United and Liverpool being put on sale,
Mm.
um, and there's rumors that Tottenham Hotspur are as well, then I think Leicester might have decided to cash in. But obviously, you're
Yeah.
not going to get the best value when you've got those three potentially going out.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And next up, we have Wolverhampton Wanderers, the and they, as I predicted, have gone out of the relegation zone,
As
and
well.
a
Yeah.
bunch of players have come in because, I expected Raiola to come get a bunch of players in to the club.
Yeah.
João Gomes from Flamenco, Daniel Bentley from Bristol City, Craig Dawson from West Ham, Pablo Sarabia, sorry, from PSG. Come on. Mario
Yes.
Lemina from Nice, and Mateus Cunha from Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Wolves are going to stay up. A bunch of these players are going to be key players. They got a bunch of players come back from injury. It's not too many players. It's, I think, just about enough players
Yeah. Yeah.
for Wolves to do the business. I think they're gonna. I think that's a great result for them. Great
No, it's
window.
good.
A for me.
A. Definitely an A. No, it's very good by Wolves. You say it's all stuff that's going to definitely keep them. It's definitely going
Yeah.
to keep them up and give them good strength. Um, so
And
yeah,
I
it's
apologize. I made a mistake. The manager of Wolves is Julian Lopetegui, not Aston Villa.
ah,
So he's not even at a club that's won at least Aston Villa have won a Champions League before.
yeah, yeah,
The Aston Villa have Unai Emery, who's also an incredibly good manager. So
yeah,
my apologies for that. But yeah, they've got both clubs have upgraded the manager, and like I think both are gonna do really well. Wolves once again, I think A great window.
A. Definitely, and they showed it the last match against smashing Liverpool. So I think yeah, A, easy A.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're entering the clubs I think that are and the potential to be relegated. So I'm thinking about their transfers in that light.
Yeah.
Have they done enough to stay up? Wolves, I think Leicester and Forest have done that. Palace is where I was
Yeah.
iffy. And Villa have probably don't need to worry about it, I think.
Yeah, Villa
But yeah,
should have been fine. Palace, Nottingham Forest, their windows perhaps have dragged them back into it. We'll see, but that's because
yeah,
Leicester and Wolverhampton had such good windows that their that difference in points is going to disappear between
yeah,
them and Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. So it'll just be um, how the difference back down to the actual relegation three is managed.
yeah, I agree. Now, West Ham, though, I think are in pole position to not be relegated of this group. They're obviously
Mm.
still able to be, but I think David Moyes is a very, very experienced manager at this sort of level, and getting
Yeah,
clubs not relegated. They've got in Danny Ings, a very good buy, I
yeah,
think. He could be very crucial. And they got Luizao from Sao Paulo, who's a defender.
yeah,
They need bodies there. Their defense wasn't actually terrible. They needed a bit more attack. Danny Ings can maybe help um,
yeah.
them.
I would
At
expect so.
the at the moment, they just drew with Newcastle. They beat Everton 2-0. That was the El Sacico. They lost to Wolves, and they beat Brentford, so not in the FA Cup, and they
Yeah,
drew with Leeds, so not terrible. Recent run of form, I think they're just about to stay up. They got a decent. I would have loved to see a few more players. They've only got in two. They can't be complacent. Phew. I think obviously if they get relegated, this is an F transfer window, so I can't say that he's been backed enough that this should be, a match where this window should cement their surge up front. So I
yeah,
gotta give them a C minus,
yeah,
not
yeah.
a fail.
It's not a fail. I'm happy for the C minus as well. As you say, they did get Danny Ings. That's in the right place. We'll have to see how it all sort of sorts itself out. Yeah, C minus.
Yeah. Next up, we have Leeds United. They've got Diego Montero in from Servette, Weston McKennie from Juve, Jorginho Rutter from Hoffenheim, and Maximilian Wuber from AFC Salzburg, Red Bull. Yes. So I think Leeds are going to be relegated. That being said, they brought in a bunch of very good players. I
Yeah,
think Weston Kenny especially is a very good player. Um, Jesse Marsh might not keep Leeds United up. And it could be tough for them to get promoted again if they do get relegated, because there is a bunch of competitive clubs in the championship who are
yeah, yeah,
basically they basically exist in like this yo-yo situation and they're gonna try and get up. Leeds, yeah, it's decent window though. It's better than West Ham's window, so I'll give them
yeah.
a B minus.
B minus. I was thinking C plus, but
It's up
I
to the
mean,
manager, right? Like they've
yeah,
given them good players and good bodies.
that's that's
The
good
the
points.
window's not a problem. It's whether the manager can get it done.
Yeah, yeah. That you make good points. So B minus.
Um, Next up we have Everton. Okay, they got nobody, so fail. Done. They're not even a D minus. Fail.
Just straight
Do
fail.
we need to say anything more? And they sold Anthony Gordon, so even more fail.
Yeah, it's fail upon fail. It's fail squared.
They're gonna be relegated. End of story. Done.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, they got Sean Dyche. Hello.
Good point,
So
actually. They got the most important transfer.
window is a fail. Don't get me wrong. Window's a fail. You get a manager like Sean Dyche and you don't back him. Like it's ridiculous how much of a fail it is. But
Yeah.
Everton, yeah, Sean Dyche can get this team. They had the quality. Sean Dyche could get this team to be not relegated. I will not be surprised if the relegated clubs are Leeds, Bournemouth, and Southampton.
Yeah.
The problem here is I think two clubs are going to get a surge. So this is why the clubs like West Ham, Wolverhampton, and Leicester can't be complacent, and
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest for that matter either. At Crystal Palace, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
as well. Um, Everton with Sean Dyche are dangerous in this situation. They could just make it out.
Yeah.
and I think Southampton will get 2. So they've also done some great business. But okay, fail. We don't need to talk anymore about Everton. Fail,
No, no.
fail window.
Fail, 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 fail.
Yeah.
Other than getting Dyche, fail.
Yeah. So next up we have AFC Bournemouth, who have gotten a bunch of players. They're probably wishing Scott Parker's probably wishing they had a bunch of these players come in during the summer window.
Yeah.
Ilya Zabarny and Hamid Junior Traore from Sassuolo, Matias Vina from Roma, Antoine Samiano from Bristol City, Darren Randolph from West Ham United on a free, and Dango Tara from Lorient. Yeah, I'm not super excited about this window, but they actually got some bodies in.
Yeah.
And so this is a new ownership group. They are going to invest money in, and if they do get relegated, then it's not the end of the world, I don't think. Like,
No.
they are slowly building up this. Gary O'Neill, he's doing what he can. We can't blame him. I don't think they backed him enough, and like this was unfortunate for Bournemouth because they were going to be sold, so they couldn't buy players. Yeah, they're probably being relegated, but they've bought a bunch of good players to maybe yo-yo in, so I can't give them a fail. The window's not a fail because they've got players in and they will probably bounce straight back up. So
Yeah.
what is that?
D
plus?
D plus. Doesn't really feel
Yeah,
like
if they're
a
getting
C.
relegated, like they were already probably getting relegated before the window. The window
Yeah.
itself is probably giving you bodies, but it's not enough because they didn't get enough in the summer window, and that's not the fault of this. It's rough to say because I think maybe C minus just because they will come straight back up. The squad.
Yeah. It is hard because it's not bad. And maybe it's a C minus, but maybe it is technically improving what was going to happen before this window. So it's improved a lot. It's just not enough to stop them getting relegated.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
100% not enough.
Yeah. So I still feel like it's still a D plus. Like it's not quite a pass. It's good. It's like you're almost there, but
yeah. There's now, so this is why I'm giving them a C minus. Moving on from them, we go to Southampton.
yeah.
Interesting club to say. They've got in Nathan Jones as their new manager, who's done some interesting things. Like, he's playing Ward Prowse as a number 10, and then you look at it and go, yeah, that's where he should be playing, right? Like, why didn't you do this before?
Made a lot of sense once he did it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's a good manager, and he's done interesting stuff. Done interesting stuff at the championship level, and it's interesting to see him get this opportunity.
Yeah.
I think they have actually kind of backed him. They've got Paul Nochu, Kamaldeen Solamina from Rennes, Paul Nochu from Genk, James Bree from Luton, Carlos Alcaraz from Racing Club, and Miroslav Orsic from Dinamo Zagreb. They've got some decent amount of players in, and he's actually using the squad to interesting effect. This is Southampton. I don't know. They will. If Southampton and let's say Everton somehow don't get relegated, who gets relegated here? Bournemouth? Okay, let's just assume Bournemouth's getting relegated.
Yeah.
Leeds? And
Yeah.
then West Ham or Wolves? It's so tough. This is going to be one of the toughest relegation scraps I've ever seen. But I do think Southampton are going to get a surge. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah.
I think they will finish 17th, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or 18th.
18th, yeah. No, I think, Southampton are going. To me, the other one, if Bournemouth or Southampton do get out, it's possibly actually Crystal Palace, given the transfer window
Yeah,
that will be dragged. Because
exactly.
I feel like whilst they've got the points at the moment, that difference is going to be chipped into. As you say, like West Ham, good. Wolves, good. Leicester City, good. Nottingham Forest, oh my god, good. So yeah,
Yeah,
if I
even
feel
Leeds.
Crystal Palace is going to be dragged right down there. It's going to be Southampton, Bournemouth, Everton, Leeds, Crystal Palace. Basically, is going to be give it a month or 6 weeks.
Yeah,
That's going to be the relegation battle.
yeah, it could
Yeah,
very well be. I
yeah,
mean, like I expect Nottingham Forest to maintain their position. Same with Leicester. They've got
yeah,
momentum and good managers. More importantly,
yeah,
who are going to know what to do with those players. And look, you can't keep a good man like Jamie Vardy down for too long, right?
yeah. Well, exactly.
Um, Wolves, 100% Lopetegui is gonna keep them up. Absolutely.
Yeah,
West Ham, probably. David Moyes
probably.
will keep them up.
Yeah,
And
I
then you've got basically Bournemouth, Southampton, who are not relegated yet. Like if they spurge up somehow, Everton, Leeds are, and or Everton, sorry, if Everton, Southampton spurge up because of the managers,
yeah,
Everton are just still a bit fucked because of the players, right?
yeah. Everton have got problems, but I sort of see them scraping enough to get there. But
Okay, we have to make a call, right? Right
yeah,
now, bottom three, who are going to get relegated? If this might be different to what we said after our Christmas window, but we didn't have a bunch of new managers and new players.
yeah.
Now that we've seen the managers, we've seen them play with these new players, who do you think is getting relegated?
I think pretty sure I'm keeping the three-ish that I said. Though I may have said Nottingham Forest in there,
You
but
did say Nottingham Forest.
well then, bar Nottingham Forest, I'm going with Leeds, Bournemouth, and Southampton. Like,
Leeds, Bournemouth, and Southampton. Okay.
yeah,
I'm going to pick Bournemouth. I'm going to pick Leeds. That's got to be Everton.
you think Everton?
There's bad
They are.
ownership situation, good manager, players are demoralized, though quality,
Yeah,
demoralized, not enough goals. Defense is okay. I think you need goals nowadays.
you do
Survive a
need
relegation
goals.
battle.
Yeah,
You need a goal scorer and you need goals coming in from somewhere. So hard. I think Everton, like I say, Leeds, Bournemouth, I'm happy with. Might be Southampton. No, it's Southampton are the obvious choice, I think. But yeah, okay. 17th will get Southampton 18th, Bournemouth bottom 20th, and Leeds will be 19th. That's my
okay.
final.
That's your final. Lock it in. Sounds
Lock it
good.
in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hate it, and if Everton scraped, if Everton get relegated, because I'm like every bit of my being is telling me Everton should get relegated, but I'm just looking at the numbers and the facts on the ground, going, but yeah, nah,
yeah.
yeah.
I imagine Everton to be in that relegation scrap, and it may go down to
I'm
the
gonna
last
hate
day.
it, especially if it's Southampton that pushes them down, and it's Ward Prowse who gets all those goals. I'll be like, I even fucking said it. They need goals.
Here, actually, here's yeah. Last day, Everton plays Bournemouth.
Oh,
That might be the relegation day. Like that is,
yeah.
I could see that being the relegation fight. Like the winner stays up, the loser goes down.
I was looking at Southampton's fixtures coming up. Who have they got? They've still got Wolves, relegation dogfight. Chelsea, not a relegation dogfight, but definitely a team in transition. And Team Chelsea have to watch out for. Leeds,
Yeah,
relegation dogfight. So February is key. Um, Premier League, they've got Leicester, potential relegation dogfight. Manchester United at Old Trafford, they're going to lose that probably.
yeah,
Spurs at home, they can get that. They've got basically in the top four clubs currently, they've got a game against Manchester United, the Spurs top five, Manchester City, and yeah, there you go. 3 in the top 5. Everybody else, and not and Newcastle,
Right,
Premier
yeah.
League wise. So basically, three teams to play, four matches to play. Everybody else is either comfortably mid-table, because their last run of games, they've got Forest, Fulham, Brighton, and
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
It isn't the
Liverpool
best end for Southampton,
might
really.
be out of the running for anything at that point.
Yeah.
Like they might not be in for a European spot. They might not be,
Yeah.
Um,
But I don't imagine
but
if that's the case.
Fulham might be
So if that's the
Fulham
case,
might be in a
Liverpool.
similar situation. Forest might be in a
Yeah.
similar situation. So that is potentially their only hope.
Yeah. I sort of see
One
with
key point.
Liverpool that if they are out of contention for things, like then it's pride. Like they'll want to finish strong. Brighton, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, potentially those are.
Brighton will want to beat them. It's a South Coast derby, so there's no
Yeah,
easy game. That's not an easy game.
good point. Yes, yes. But Fulham might be. Nottingham Forest probably still need they should be safe, but it'll be one of those ones of putting final nail in, just make sure that it stays. But depends how safe they are.
Like, let me look at Everton. Let me look at Everton's fixtures because those are the two I'm trying to figure out. Everton have upcoming Liverpool. Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
We'll definitely see what happens with that.
yeah, that may be
Everton, Leeds, and Aston Villa. So Ron Dyche can win those 3. Woohoo.
yeah.
Then we've got they get to play in the last month in May. Their last 4 games are Brighton, Manchester City,
Mm,
Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Bournemouth, as you mentioned.
yeah,
Bournemouth might already be relegated at that point.
maybe yeah,
Wolves might not be out of the equation. That could be a relegation 6-pointer.
yeah,
Everton, City are gonna want to beat them because if the title is still up for grabs, City need the points.
yeah. The only benefit for Everton there is
And
being
then Brighton and Hove
at
Albion.
Goodison. So
Yes.
and they end at Goodison as well. The last game against Bournemouth. So those sort of that sort of suggests
And they still have games against clubs like Spurs, Manchester United at Old Trafford, and Newcastle at home.
It's February. No, it's not easy. February could tell a lot for those, for Southampton and for Everton.
Who's getting the goals for Everton though?
Oh, no one. Like the problem is that is going to be their problem.
Yeah, like this is what I'm seeing it. Like I can see Ward-Prowse being like a player of the season level. He's already got 5 goals, right? Like and 3 assists. He's having an incredible season.
Yeah. I mean, Everton's maybe done on draws. Like that might be their points and scrappy goals that go in, and everybody's like, "Who scored that?" Well, there's a bit of a melee, and someone's claiming the last touch. Sort of feel about it,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, they don't.
Alright, I'm not gonna change my mind. I'm gonna stick to Everton. Well, I think, and I'm gonna hate it. Every goal Ward-Prowse scores for my fantasy team is gonna make me hate that place.
Yeah. We'll see how we go.
But it's an incredible season. Like, we'll see if things return back to normal next season because we haven't really had a quote unquote normal football season since COVID, right?
Quote unquote, yeah. Hasn't been normal. It's always had something.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. But yeah, on that note, I think that's all we have time for.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your time and listening, and look forward to hearing from you next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, see even more. NineSixFourTwo Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us. And we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.